Thank you so much for joining me. Excuse me for how I sound. So, today we're going to be talking about how to write your resume. Now, this is a very important thing. This is a very important lesson. This is very important to know because a resume is part of your job search tools, right? Up until the point where you get to talk to a person, your resume is going to do the talking for you. So we surely want to make sure that our resumes are in a good shape. We want to make sure that the resume that we're putting forth is good to go. And then there's been talks about recruiters not looking at resumes for more than a minute, 30 seconds, even. There's been talks about recruiters and companies using bots to screen resumes. So it's very important that you know how to build a resume and how to get your resume in front of a person. Even if bots are screening it, it's very important that we can get past the bots and get in front of a person. How do we do that? We use keywords, we use buzzwords, and we're going to talk about all of those things today. So without delaying, let's go ahead. So right here, I have open Flow CV. Flow CV helps us to build our resume, right? You can use any doc software, Google Doc, Microsoft Word, any one of them. You can even use Canva to build your resume. But I really do like Flow CV. I'm not sponsored, right? But I do like Flow CV. One of the reasons why I like Flow CV is because when you build it, you can go back and edit it. You don't have to take care of any of the styling or designing it or anything. No alignment stuff that you have to do. Design is already done. They have amazing templates that you can pick from, and it's free. And you can download your resume as many times as possible. And like I also said, they have many different designs. So it's really good, right? So let's just go ahead and get started. So you're going to go to flowcv.com and or app.flowcv.com. And I just wanted to show you guys something really quickly before we move on. So they have this page, Let's Boost Your Career, right? And you can see here that now, I don't know if this has always been there, but I never used it. But if you ever needed a cover letter, you could create a cover letter. And then they have these applications. This is really cool. I've never used this feature, so I wouldn't know exactly what it entails, but wow, right? Wow. Anywho, and then they also have this personal website. It says it's free, right? But and it says here that you would have a Flow CV domain, but they also have premium options. Oh, it's coming soon. Okay. And then they have the email signature, really cool stuff. Anyways, so let's just go ahead and get started. So you would have logged in at this point. We're going to click on create. And right here is where the fun starts. So I'm going to be making changes on the left side. And every single change I make, we will see on the right side. We're first going to put everything on our sheet of paper. And then we are going to customize it, right? So before we get started, let's talk a little bit about resumes. You're like, okay, what is the difference between a resume and a CV? First difference you're going to see is that a lot of recruiters will tell you that your resume should be a page, no more than a page. And that's kind of become like the golden rule of resumes here, okay? And then the second thing is a lot of countries outside of Ghana and a lot of countries, I'm using Ghana because a lot of our students are in Ghana. Okay. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then yeah. Okay. Okay. Anywho, so a lot of countries do use resumes instead of CVs. I am the US. We use resumes all the time. I've never needed a CV. And upon doing some research, it seems like CVs are more for like academic reasons, even though they are also used for employment reasons. They are mainly for academic reasons. It includes things like your publications, your research, your, you name it. It includes academic things, right? And your resume includes all the information, kind of like who you are, but bits and pieces of like different parts of your life. So your education, your professional experience, your skill sets, the clubs that you join, certificates, all kinds of stuff, right? So and this is usually used for employment reasons, right? So it's very important that we learn how to build resumes if we're going to be searching for jobs outside of Ghana, right? All right. So let's just go ahead and start it. Let's just go ahead and start it. Okay. All right. So we're going to click here. Okay. We need to confirm, but we're going to do it later. All right. So we're going to type in our full name and we're going to go with Jane Doe. All right. Jane Doe is a young lady. All right. We don't need to do a job title. We do not need to do a job title. Right. And we will talk about this in part 2 of this video. There are 2 parts, but let's just go ahead. We will put our email. Email is janedoe@gmail.com. Okay. And our phone number is 000 000 000. All right. So in Ghana, we usually just type our phone numbers, no spaces, no dashes, no slashes, no nothing. I do suggest that you type your number this way. It makes sense and is visually appealing because I just only have to read 3 numbers at a time and they're separated, and then I just have to read the last form. Okay, now if you are in Ghana, then you're going to do something like this. Or if you're not in the US or wherever you're applying to the job at, then you probably need to include your country code, and you want them not to have to guess or have to go search because they're not going to have time for that. They might not have time for that. And we don't want them to toss our application out, from their site because we want that opportunity. So we're going to do something like this and we're good here. All right. You can put space or leave, whatever it is. We have it like this. So this, if your phone number is 024, you probably just have the 24 here. Okay. You kick the 0 out and put the +233. This is your area code or your country code, and this is your phone number. All right. And if you are in Ghana, because you are in Ghana, or because let's say I am in Ghana, I'm applying to positions in the US, I need to tell them where I'm applying for the opportunities at. And so because of that, I'm going to put where I am. Now, you can put just your country, but I prefer putting like your city or your town and your country. But you can just put Ghana and that will be fine. Okay. And like I said, don't judge me yet because we are going to do a lot of customizations when we are done putting everything on this beautiful template that we have here. All right. Over here, I have some things to say. There is no reason why anyone should be choosing anything out of here. You don't need to tell me what your date of birth is. You don't need to tell me your nationality. For the love of God, please do not share any of this information. All right. Your driver's not, no. All right. And so we are going to pick something here, and that thing is going to be our LinkedIn URL. Now, we do put our LinkedIn URL because we have a page to work with. We are not going to be able to fit every single thing that we need to fit on the page. There are going to be some things that, we wish we could show, or it's just fun to show, but we won't be able to fit it on our resume. So we leave our URL for LinkedIn so that they can go in there and check. Since LinkedIn don't have any page limits, we can put any and everything, and they can go and check, dive deep into our history, right? Plus, the reason why we do put the LinkedIn URL is because, yes, they can type your name on LinkedIn, but there might be several people with your name, same first and last name, right? So you want to go ahead and put your customized or personalized LinkedIn URL. If you don't know how to personalize or customize your LinkedIn URL, type in it on Google. It will show you step by step how to do it. But I do recommend that you get this done because it's really, really important, right? Nobody has time to be typing in. Yes, they could copy, but nobody has time to be doing all that, looking at LinkedIn URLs with, crazy characters at the end of it. Do this, save yourself the headache. All right. So LinkedIn, it would look something like this. LinkedIn.com/in/your name. And if your name is taken, you can add something else. So like if your name is taken, I believe you can maybe change, maybe you can do Dojane, whatever your name is. The likelihood of your whole name being taken as a Ghanaian is really slim. Okay. Let's carry on. All right. So we at this point are done with this personal information section. We're going to keep adding content. The next content that we're going to add is education. If you are currently in school, then the next section you need to have in your resume is your education. Okay, now once you graduate out of school and you have some professional experience, the first section beside your personal information on your resume is going to be your professional experience. But I think most of us are still in school, so we're just gonna go with education here. Excuse me. Now, our Jane Doe is at, excuse me, our Jane Doe is at the university, okay? And I put it in the wrong place. All right. If you are doing computer science and you're watching this video, then you are so lucky because you're going to get so many tips. Like, man, lucky you, right? And again, capitalization is very important when you're doing your resume. You want your grammar to be on point. You want everything to be spelled correctly as well. All right. So let's just say our Jane Doe started school in 2020, and we are currently at the school. All right. I do something different on my resume. You by no means need to do this. What I do is I list my relevant coursework. Back when I was in school, at least, I listed my relevant coursework. Now, let's talk about why I feel like doing your relevant coursework. And for the sake of time, I have copied and pasted some stuff here. I'm going to talk you guys through the reasons why I do this. So I did mention earlier that a lot of companies and recruiters, they use bots to screen resumes. Okay. That's what I've been hearing, at least. I don't know this to be true or false. I've just heard it, so I'm sharing it. Okay. Whatever the situation is, they use bots, maybe not, whatever the situation is, some sort of keywords are they're looking for them, are being done for. Okay, they're digging for them. And so you want to make sure that you have some of those keywords highlighted, right? And what a good way to highlight them. I saw that somebody do this on their own resume and I fell in love with it, and it is really helpful. Why do I say this? Because back in 2020, after university, I saw a lot of people, and honestly, during the pandemic, things were hard as was, but people were complaining that their resumes were being tossed out. They were getting rejections left, right, center. And one of the things that I saw in their resume was that even though the experiences, if you take time to read the resume, was great, they were lacking some of the keywords that I was seeing in some job descriptions, right? So if you're doing computer science, the likelihood of you applying for an entry level software engineering job, and that bio or that description for the job having some of these words in there is very high, right? Some of the jobs, even beyond entry level, they mention things like data structures, algorithms. They mention things like databases. They mention things like software engineering, software design, operating systems, right? So we want to have these keywords highlighted one way or another. And the fact is that we do take these classes in school. Even if the classes were not called algorithms and data structures, the likelihood of you taking some sort of algorithms and data structures class as a computer science major in university is very high. Okay, so go ahead and plug those things on there because yes, we have taken those classes. So these are the relevant courseworks that we have taken in university. It doesn't have to be everything on here, and it doesn't have to be maybe what you took is not on here. You can put it on there as well. Okay. All right. So there we go. These will help us for the bots or even a person, when they pick up our resume, they're going to see some of these keywords and they're going to be interested in us because who wouldn't? We have every single thing they need for an applicant. Okay. Anyways, so another thing I do is put certificates. So I list the certificates that I have. I was a few months back. All right. I don't know how to spell this evening. And your spelling needs to be really great. All right. So a few months back, okay, I was looking at business jobs. And I mean, we got the certificate, right? We do need to use it. These are not going to be your Coursera certificates. All right. I'm sorry, but these are not going to be any certificates from outside. These are going to be certificates that are tied to your education. So these are certificates that you got while you were in school. Okay. So everybody who takes this resume or picks it up will know that there's certificates listed here. I got them from the University of Ghana. And we're going to go ahead and say, now, if you do have a second form of education, like let's say you went to another university, you did a master's, you're currently doing a master's or a higher degree, whatever the situation might be, you can go ahead and also do another one of these. If you're in your first year, let's show some grace. Even your second year, and you still want to put high school information on here, feel free if you have the space, right? And we'll talk about space management in part 2 of this video. But we're going to go ahead and do something else. Now, we are going to now talk about professional experience. And yes, your resume do need to be in this order. Thank you. All right. Our Jane Doe did an internship, and the internship was called web developer. He or she was a web developer intern, all right, at Johnson's Technology LLC. I don't know. Okay. And we did this in Kumasi, in Ghana. And we did this May of 2021, and we ended August of 2021. Okay. All right. You know what? For the sake of showing you something, let me make this 2022. We're going to save. We do have another experience, and that experience is we were a lead math tutor. Where did we do that? We did it at Awesome Math. I'm just making things up. All right. This was in Accra. And this was in Ghana. We started this May 2021, and we ended this August 2021. All right. Okay. And we're going to talk about the descriptions here. I forgot it on the last one. For the sake of time, I am going to copy and paste some descriptions because I don't want us to waste too much time. And I probably will have to still edit this. Yes, I do. All right. Okay, and for the other one, you don't have to put these things. I'm praying that you know that you don't have to put these things on your resume. These are specific to the person that we're working on. Third one is a software engineer. Okay, May. For, let's say something, January 2023. And let's say we're now working on it. And you will see that it moves it. This is what I'm talking about using. This is why we use Flow CV. It organizes everything. We don't have to do no work. This was the bottom. It moves it. It organizes it. It puts it where it belongs. We don't have to do any of the work. We love it. We love it. We do love it. All right. And I'm going to paste this here. All right. And this is the same thing as the last time because we don't have time to come up with another one, fictional thing. All right. So let me give some tips. And I will give these tips also in part 2, but let me give some tips here. All right. So you wanna, if you're not gonna use Flow CV, you do want to list the name of the position that you held, and then you want to list the company. We will edit this so it won't look like this, will look very different. And then you want to give some bullet points about your duties, what your duties were at the company. So you see here that I've given some. My rule of thumb is you shouldn't have one, right? You shouldn't have one bullet point and you shouldn't have more than three, because I feel like after more than three, you start being repetitive. Now, if you aren't being repetitive after three, go ahead and put those, especially if it's not going to tip you over 2 pages. I mean, over a page. Okay. All right. So the next section that we're going to do, and this is what I call fair game. So after listing our education and then our professional experience, everything is fair game. Fair game. Sorry about that. So you can list your projects, you can list your publications, organizations that you're part of. You can even list the courses that you've taken. This is a really good time to list some of those Coursera courses. All right. Some awards, anything. All right. So we are going to go with organizations. And the first organization that we're part of is Dream Hive Scholarship. And what are we? What position do we hold? We are a scholar. All right. So a scholar's got a freebie here. We don't have to put city and country. We can just go ahead and select dates that we were part of it. So let's just say that we joined last year and right now we still are a member. Now, if the role that you hold, I can imagine any of our scholars having any roles to play, but if you do have a role that you play, then you're going to describe that role in the same manner that you did for your professional experience. You're going to start every single bullet point with a verb. If you currently do hold that role, which the end date will be current or present, then you're going to start the bullet point with a present tense verb, okay? Present tense verb. Now, if you do not hold that position, you no longer hold that position, is a position from the past, then you're going to start it with a past tense verb. You're going to do the same thing for your professional experience if I didn't mention it before. But we don't have anything to put here. No, take that back, because our scholars will have something to put here. But anyways, for the sake of time, we're not going to put anything. We're going to save. All right? We're going to add something else, and that something else is going to be regaining association. And this is at University of Ghana. All right. Now, if the organization is affiliated with some school, like the organization is school related or wherever the organization is, you're going to identify here. So if it's school, I'm going to put University of Ghana because I want them to know that this organization or this club was at school. The reason why we don't say anything or put location for Dream Hive Scholarship is because it is an NGO on its own, is a nonprofit on its own, right? So we don't need to identify it, right? So that's that. When did we join? We do love the January months, all right? And let's say that we are currently a student. I mean, we're currently there, all right? So position, I'm going to go ahead and put president. Now another thing. So if you hold any positions, aside being a member of an organization, you probably do take care of some stuff, right? And so you probably should describe those things in the description. Okay. We're going to put one more for fun. Okay. And that is the students. Spell correctly. It's important. Okay. And we are the founder of this club. Now, same thing. Since we are the founder of this club, we definitely do have some duties that we uphold, right? So we're going to list those things here. Starting with a present tense verb if we're currently doing these things, or past tense verbs if we no longer holding this position. But we are currently a member, so present tense. Okay. All right. So we are done here. I will come back and edit some of these, but for now, we're just gonna, go on. So the next thing that I am going to add to our Jendo's profile is her skills. And I'm going to do the skills very different. You may or may have not seen this before, but we're going to list it in this way because I feel like as a software engineer, or if you are in a similar field, then it's really good. Instead of listing everything in a linear format, listing things and grouping them according to their functions are really, really important. So first, we're going to talk about our programming experience or programming languages that we know. And imagine listing these one by one. If you know more than four, that is that is crazy, right? So we're going to talk about our programming languages and we are going to list them this way. Now you do notice that I put proficient, intermediate, because I want them to know how comfortable I am with the language. And by them, I'm being the recruiters and the managers. Now, I have gone to an interview before, and in that time, I did not have proficient in any of these things. And I got asked questions in Python, and I hadn't coded in Python like 3 years almost, and I was scratching my head, right? So I want them to know, and instead of putting intermediate, you can go ahead and put working knowledge or any other phrase that you think suits, what you're trying to do. All right. We do have some other skills. This is database. We're going to talk about our database skills. And if, like I said, man, if you are a software engineer on Aspirant One, then you really got a freebie here because I'm showing you how to group everything. Isn't it awesome? All right, we're going to talk about our APIs. All right, and these are all the APIs that we know. Wow, we've learned a lot at school. The last one is going to be web. So these are going to be the web technologies that we know. Okay, and why didn't we select? Because you only select these if you're talking about one skill, and we're not talking about one skill. So we do not select. Okay, now I'm going to switch these two because as you can see on the side, let me leave this for 1 second. It looks imbalanced, right? So I'm going to switch these two. Now you see it lines up perfectly. Okay, now there's one more thing that I sometimes do, and that is to add one more skill called interest. And this, you don't have to do it. People will think this, some people might think this is nonsense. Oh, it's useless, it's unnecessary, but I do it. And I don't know if it adds anything or not, but you can do it if you want to. So maybe we're looking for software engineering positions. Maybe we're looking for data science positions as well. Okay, so whatever, this is kind of like, what am I interested in? What positions am I interested in? And I list them here. Okay, so we are done with our resume, but we would never, ever submit this resume to anybody because you know how, like back in school, your teachers would say rough draft? This is a rough draft. And, I hope you never did, but we never submitted the rough draft to the teacher. We never did that, right? And if you did, then I'm sure you got a bad grade, but we never did. So we're going to start going ahead and editing things. So the first thing we're going to edit here, we are okay with professional experience, organizations. We're going to say organizations and affiliations. Okay, like this. And then here we're going to say skills and interest. If you don't put interest, then you don't have to do this. All right. And the goal is to make sure that our resume does not run over a page. Now we're going to start with the customization. You can select any of these things, but I will tell you that I am a plain Jane. Okay. I'm very traditional, and I believe in the phrase that if something is not broken, then you should not break it. And so I stick with the OG. I stick with the old thing because it works. All right. Now, I once gave my resume to somebody, a recruiter, and the first thing that they pointed out was the fact that everything was super easy to find. They could see my education, see my experience, see my organizations, see my skills, see everything. It was so easy, and they applauded me for that. Okay. So I think it means something. Now, some of these resumes with 2 columns, you might have to resort to some of these solutions with the columns and everything if your resume goes over a page, and this helps. But I just don't think they look traditional. I like the traditional, black and white look, no color, nothing. It's simple, but it gets the job done. All right. So go ahead, look through this and pick some of them if you want to. You can always undo whatever you don't like. But I like to stick with a white plain sheet of paper and traditional font and sizes. Okay. We're going to go down here. Now, this is what I mean by the columns. So if you wanted 2 columns, we could. But like I said, I don't want, and yes, you can undo. I already mentioned that. But we do not, I don't. Okay, I don't speak for you. I speak for me. I don't. The next thing that we can see here is that we can rearrange our stuff. And this is part of also the reason why I love Flow CD. Now, yeah, sure. Even if we were to use Microsoft Word, we could just copy and paste it, after we graduate and after we have professional experience. It is recommended that we move our professional experience before education. Where your education goes, nobody can give a definite answer. All that matters is that just like your education being at the very top when you're in school, all that they say is that move your professional experience to the top. Some people say move the education all the way to the bottom. Some people say move your skills all the way to the top right before this, but majority of the people say move experience first and then move your skills. And then some people say where your education go, we don't care as long as we can see your skills first. I mean, your professional experience. So we are fine with this because we did type everything in the order that we wanted them to be in. So we are okay. All right. But if you're not, you can just toggle, you can just drag things and put them where you see fit. And this is one of the things that I was speaking about, plain Jane. I'm going to stick with the black. I'm not going to pick any other colors. I am okay. All right. I'm okay. Now, we will come back to this section. It will be very important as we move on. Again, font, I'm not going to change anything. Now, I don't see anything wrong with changing your font to something like this. It's okay, but I've always stuck with this, and I don't see why I should change it, right? So I'm good. Now, this section is interesting, right? This section is interesting, and I'm going to go ahead and click on uppercase. When I do click on uppercase, all of these are going to be in uppercase. I do this because I want them to stand out. I want all my section titles to stand out. I want them to be able to tell what section they're looking at. When it's capitalized, I feel like even though, yes, it's separated with this, I still feel like it just doesn't stand out enough. As soon as we do this, it kind of just stands out even more, and that's what we love. Now, with the styles, I do have 3 that I love to go with. Now, I sometimes use this one, but what I mainly use is this one and this one. This one is my personal favorite because it's so clean. It looks so good, right? This is also good. This is also good. It adds extra color, right, which is the gray, and that is really good. It's neutral as well. Gray is not so loud, right? It's very light. It's a light gray, and so it adds something to it, but not, it doesn't do too much, right? So you can pick whichever one you like. Personally, I prefer this. I do print my resume. I do download my resume in all of these 3. The rest of them I don't really like. I feel like this is not traditional at all. These squiggly lines, they're not traditional, not to me, okay? So, and this definitely not to me because I feel like even though there's space between the section title and the content, I feel like it's not standing out enough. And we are all about standing out. This is, standing out, yes, sure, but I just feel like it doesn't cut it. It's a personal choice. That's what I said, personal choice. So between this, and this, those are the 3 that I go with. We're going to stick with this for today. And for my headings, I like to do medium or large. I never do small, medium, or large. Just make it pop just a little bit, okay? And we don't have any icons, good, but the icons will show up next to your titles or your headers or your headings, sorry. So if you wanted any, you could put, but I just feel like this is not a text, a DM. This is not WhatsApp DM, or any DM, so I don't need to put emojis, okay? This is also very important. Where your date, this is the dates that you worked, or where these are your dates and these are the locations. Where they show up is really, really important. I like to leave it like this. This does not make any sense to me. I feel like it makes everything look weird, right? It kind of gives me two column vibes. And so I just don't do them. If you wanted to, you could also do this. I don't do it. I just keep my date and my location all the way to the right, right? Everything that you need to read is here. All the dates and the locations are here. Very, very simple. We are happy with that. Your subtitles. So your subtitles are these, right? And so those ones you can do medium or large, but I like to keep them small, and I like to keep my subtitle italic. All right. Now, the next thing is you see that we have this computer science and University of Ghana. We don't like it like this. We like to break things apart, put them into different sections. So what we do is we do next to line, and that affects our internship too and everything else. All right. So now you see it looks really beautiful. We are going to switch this later, but as you can see, it looks really beautiful. We have done, we've put things on different lines, and oh my goodness, it's starting to come to shape, right? It's starting to. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to indent. So all of our descriptions, we want them to move in just a little bit. Not that it makes any difference, but it kind of do. It kind of does make a little bit of difference. This is the header. This is right here. I don't make any change here because I do like my name to be at the very top. I feel like the other options just look weird. And so we just always stick with this. Now, this is the small change that we're going to make. We're just going to go with the bar. You could go with the bullet, but I just feel like the bar, even though we're keeping it traditional, the bar adds something to it. It makes it pop just a little bit, and we are all for keeping it traditional and professional, but adding something to it. Okay. All right, let's move on. So with my name, I never stay small. I want to go big or to go bolder. Okay. All right. So I am going to stick with large, but sometimes when I finish my resume and I have a situation like this and I've done everything I can, which we'll talk about in a second, but I'm still not having space, honey, I like to go small. But we'll stick with this for now. All right. And we're going to scroll. We're going to scroll. Now, for the footer, we don't put any of these things. We don't put page number. There's no need. We don't put email. Email is already up here. And we don't put name. It's up here. Okay. Now, the next thing that we do to avoid confusion, nobody is going to be confused with our date format here because nobody's going to think, like, first of what? Like, first of what? No. But for the sake of the 0.00001% people who don't even exist, we go ahead and then also for beautification. Honestly, let me stop joking, telling jokes here. It's for beautification. It just adds something to it. We go for short. And these look nice. When I don't have space and things look weird and times get tough, I go for this. All right. If you are going to be putting day, if you're going to be putting day, month, and year, I recommend you don't. Why? Because different parts of the world put dates differently. Now, if my part of the world, we put month first, and your part of the world, you put day first, and let's say it's 09/12, which I would say is September 12th, but you might say is December 9th, right? So you see, already confused. Just go with the short, right? Everybody understand what Aug is, even though it's not complete. We know Aug is August, all right? So just go with this, all right? Long, I don't recommend because it takes space. Short, beautiful. This, it doesn't really matter. We don't do anything here. And then we go down, okay? For your skills, you can pick other stuff. The bubble, I feel like everything else looks weird. That's just me. I say things look weird, okay? But you can do different things. You could choose to do two or more. We can't even see them. You can choose to do two or more columns. I feel like I've never needed to. One, I never did. I've always done two, right? But you could do three. Okay, so it's up to you. But I always stay. Give me 1 second. Interesting. Is a choice. I did say that. Okay? I did. I did say that. All right. So we are almost done. There are a few more changes that we have to do here. The next, oh man, come back. Okay. So the next thing that I like to change is this right here. I don't like my degree to be before my school. I feel like the school comes and then my degree is in the school. It's a mental decision here, but we go ahead and choose school. And then I feel like this looks nice too. And I feel like a lot of people will agree with me on this. And the same thing with our job. Go ahead and do it like this. Okay. All right. Now, this is something that we can work with, except it's 2 pages. So you know that place that I told you we would come back to, spacing? We are going back there because we got to get this to a page. All right. The first things that I like to change is definitely not the font size. This is the last place I go because I like to keep my resume at 11-point font because even though I might not be printing it, it's electronic, I still want them to be able to read what is on that page. I don't want anything so small that they cannot see. I definitely can't see that because I wear glasses. Okay, so I like to keep this here, and then I like to change things that I can control. One of the things that I like to change is the top and bottom. Why don't I change the left and right? Because I like things to look good. So I don't like to change the left and right. Now, this did not help. So what we can do is we can change the space between the entries. So we can change the space. And then the next thing I like to do is change the line height. Okay. Change the line height. Now, it doesn't make it look too crammed. It doesn't look like things are forced in to have space. If the worst thing happens and it's like, oh my God, these look like they're suffering, they're looking for air, you can just start move things around until it looks good. Okay. All right. So at this point, it's all about trying to get it to a page. I don't mess with this much, and I also don't mess with this much because I like it to look good left and right. Up and down, it doesn't really make much difference. You know, what difference will it make? I don't see it, right? When I change top and bottom, it doesn't really change anything. Left and right, you will see the difference. Okay? You do see the difference. And I feel like this looks unprofessional. All right. So I do bring it in sometimes, but I feel like the one that they give you, the standard at 16, it looks good. Okay. So don't really mess with this. If you can change, I'd rather change my left and right margin than change my font size, but it's a preference. Okay. So this looks good. We are done. Jane Doe has a superstar, mega star, okay, 5-star premium. If this was a restaurant, it would have a Michelin star. Okay. We have a resume that is a winner here and it looks good. Okay. And watch out for part 2 of this because we are going to talk. The reason why I didn't want to talk about everything that we're going to talk about in part 2 is because it's so long. We already at 42 minutes, 43 now. So let's talk.